Deb Niehaus.
Now, the reason why I came tonight is going to mix things up a little bit. Has nothing to do with a lot of the things that I would like to weigh in on, but it's something that I mentioned, I think almost 3 years ago initially, and that was, I think I wrote Councilman Loscom an email regarding taking a look at our current noise ordinance in Scranton, and perhaps, I think I also mentioned to you a year later in a follow-up email in 2013, where we stood with that, and I don't even know if I got a response at that point. I know the city was having all kinds of issues at that point, but in any event, I'd like to, unless there's a reason not to, provide and actually read into the record an ordinance that I found. Actually, it's a program and it's a paper that was drafted by Elkhart, Indiana, their police department working with their city council and citizens on noise and how they addressed noise in their city. And I'd like to read that now. The title of it is Elkhart, Indiana Noise Ordinance Yields Drugs and Weapons Arrests and Pays for Itself. Noise is unhealthy, unnecessary, illegal, and expensive. And then you have the name of Dick Moore, mayor of Elkhart, Indiana. And I found this on www.noisefree.org, which is an organization that tries to, I guess, end unhealthy noise. And I'll just read it now. Elkhart, Indiana is a town of around 52,000 people near the University of Notre Dame. It's an anti-noise success story. The city's anti-noise program relies on active enforcement of noise ordinances to reduce noise. The strict fines from noise enforcement generate revenues to fund a noise enforcement officer and anti-noise publicity. Also, the lessening noise levels have improved the community's quality of life and reduced crime. And this is the mayor speaking here. In 2008, I told the Common Council, which is their city council, we are determined to eradicate noise pollution in our city from boom boxes, broken mufflers, train whistles, loud motorcycles, and other sources by initiating a zero-tolerance noise ordinance. Police Chief Phil Flipson and I recently hired a noise control police officer. In 2009, the officer issued 1,200 tickets, generating more than $273,000 in fines. In 2 years, noise fines have generated more than $400,000. Now you might think, well, $400,000, that's not a lot of money. But this is an example of one area, one aspect of city life being addressed and raising revenue. If we could do something like this, look into other areas where we could improve, we could generate money, and that it would add up. You know, things add up. Let me continue, please. May I continue to finish this?
Please.
The fines not only deter noise and punish noisemakers, they also fund the anti-noise program. Noise fine revenues have been used to equip 2 Mustangs as unmarked police vehicles, as well as produce and distribute public service announcements on the hazards of noise. Fines for noise violators in Elkhart are stiff. $250 first offense, $500 second, $1,000 third offense, and $2,500 for a fourth offense. Last year, Elkhart's noise control officer did more drug busts than any other Elkhart police officer, and he was looking for noise violators, not drugs. Elkhart's experience demonstrates the strong link between noise, guns, drugs, gangs, and crime. Elkhart officials are enthusiastic about the anti-noise program. According to the chief, the noise ordinance has had a positive impact on the city's quality of life, and residents are saying it has been a great tool to reduce crime. Now they go on and they provide, well, let me just read what Ted Reuter, Noise Free America's director, stated. Elkhart's anti-noise program is a model for the nation. No taxpayer money is involved. The noisemakers themselves fund the program. If every community took noise enforcement seriously, crime would be reduced significantly. So I don't think it's always a matter of just hiring more boots on the ground. It's working smarter, not necessarily harder, by doing stuff like this. So I have this, and if anybody wants a copy, I'd be glad to give it to them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
touch on a couple of things that were mentioned here this evening. Ms. Nyhouse, the noise ordinance, that's a very good, I know we had been in touch before. I do want to get the information again from you and sit down with the police chief. I think we have a much better opportunity now of getting things done, just because of the communication and everything too. There is a lot more cooperation, as was stated. But I think this is a very good idea. More people realize the noise now as the summer season comes on, but there are people like yourself that put up with it year-round, and you know, no one should have to live like that. But if we can actively enforce this, and at the same time it would help, it would benefit everyone. So I'll definitely be getting together with you to get that information and some contact information. Perhaps if I meet the chief, I may be able to have you along too, to discuss some of these issues.
The officer issued 1,200 tickets, generating more than $273,000 in fines. In 2 years, noise fines have generated more than $400,000. Now you might think fine revenues have been used to equip 2 Mustangs as unmarked police vehicles, as well as produce and distribute public service announcements on the hazards of noise. Fines for noise violators in Elkhart are stiff: $250 first offense, $500 second, $1,000 third offense, and $2,500 for a fourth offense.
I think the American people have been in a daydream state for a long time, because every branch of our government is broken from the top right down to the very bottom. And I think the voters and the residents think that, you know, their vote is just a waste of time. But if they don't come back to the polls and do something soon, I think our only hope, as crazy as it might sound, is some kind of revolution on the ground, because that's what brought us to this country. This is how this country was founded. We got tired of the British pounding the whatever you want to call out of us, and some people stood up and did something about it. And when as a Scrantonian, as I look at the debt we're facing and the solutions we've had and the solutions we've tried and the troubles ahead of us, and then, you know, my question here is real simple. Why weren't the people who mismanaged this city for decades prosecuted and put in jail? And why does it take the federal government so long to step in on every issue? And then, of course, who's watching the feds? But, you know, listening to residents in the city talk about what's taking place now, they think it's comical. They just don't see how this can actually take place. When we come up with, you know, how does a pension fund fall this far behind? What were the representatives of the union doing as this was taking place? As the city itself decayed over decades, where was everybody in elective office that were taking these votes? And how did they come to the conclusions that any of these votes were in the best interest of the residents? Is it going to be in the best interest of the residents if we lose firemen again? I mean, you know, there's a lot of situations going on in the city, even at times where police officers don't even show up for hearings. Is it because we don't have enough police? We have a lot of very serious problems here. And another tax increase isn't going to be the answer. And, you know, with all due respect to you, Mr. Rogan, charging $5 for a bag of garbage is ridiculous. Because, to be honest with you, the reason we're charging these fees is because we've mismanaged our assets, not just Scranton, tons of communities. And to keep coming back, give this a little thought. $20,000 allegedly is the average earning capacity of a Scrantonian. And, you know, when I listen to Mr. Yudichak talk on talk radio here, he's giving us political talking points instead of talking about reality. He's talking about 25% of children living in poverty. Well, why are all our jobs in other countries? Because if the child's in poverty, then I guess the parents are in poverty too. I mean, we've just taken a country right to its knees, and my question is, are the residents in this country ever going to stand up to this government and tell them we can't pay anymore, start prosecuting the people we've elected that run around dressed funny with suits on and skirts and blouses and make themselves look like professionals, But really, I don't know, I won't call them thieves, but I don't know what to call them, because how can every branch of government be broke, and how can the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania talk about being $50 billion short on state pension funds? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. People like Doug Miller or Mr. Gahan, I just don't see what kind of life you're going to have. I mean, where is it going to lead us to? Where is all this money going to come from? Why are all the big corporations moving their money outside the country and contributing nothing to our society? Because the Congress and Senate left them do it. It's not a Democrat-Republican issue. It's elected officials who don't serve the people who elect them. Thank you.